I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good, good, good. Like always, I'm going to check to make sure we got a nice stream going on Facebook and YouTube before we get started. Because, as I always say, what good is a live stream if we're not live streaming? Okay, we're on Facebook, so that's a good sign. It's always a good start. Let's check our good friends at YouTube. Oh, wow, we're on. That's faster than ever. Well, hey, guys, welcome. Are you guys excited?
Always.
Yep.
Don't show it too much, okay, Dave? Whatever you do. And Vinny, we know you're excited. You're going to be the highlight of the show.
Ha ha ha.
So, well, hey, I am Jim
shirt, that's for sure.
What's that?
You can't miss this shirt, that's for sure.
We're not missing. We never miss you, Vinny. You may not be around, but we certainly don't miss you. Anyway, well, hey everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Jim Gast, and I am welcoming today with us DJ Meyer. Say hi, Dave.
Howdy.
Man, you guys don't have the energy, do they? Wow. And then also Vinny. Hey, Vinny, what's up?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Oh man, you know me. Got the Mountain Dew. Got the big fake smile on. You know, just kidding.
Café con leche.
There you go. And for everybody watching, we are No Law Firm Left Behind. And so let me tell you about No Law Firm Left Behind. We are here to help your law firm be more competitive and help your staff and your attorneys be more productive and help you get more clients calling. It's simple, right? That's what we're here for. And how do we do that, Dave? We do it through talking about things like
all kinds of things. We'll talk about technology use. We'll talk about security. We'll talk about marketing. We'll talk about social media. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've already covered a lot of these, had a lot of variety across all these different topics, and we're just going to keep right on doing it.
Between the three of us, Vinny, I think we probably have maybe like 60 years of experience between the three of us, although none of us have that in total, 60 years.
Probably something like that. Yep.
With law firm technology as well. You have a lot of experience outside of legal too.
Yep. And part of the point of this show is to take this technology and how does it apply to your law firm to make you successful in your law firm, and how do you use it, and how does it play in the grand scheme of things. So
I always get questions. Well, I should say we always get questions. How does this apply to a non-law firm? For the most part, technology is technology. Wouldn't you guys agree to that?
It is. Every industry's got its own set of specific concerns, because it's got its own set of specific programs. And, certain industries are a little bit more targeted than others when it comes to things like security and, but for the most part, a lot of these ideas that we talk about are going to be useful regardless of the industry that you're in.
Yeah. And Vinny, you've got a lot of manufacturing experience behind you, leading teams in technology and manufacturing.
Yep.
Would you say that with your knowing what you know about law firms, would you say a lot of the stuff applies similarly to manufacturing or other industries for that matter?
Yeah, I would say that, some of the tools that we talk about apply directly to all industries, like what we're going to be talking about today applies to all industries. There are some very specific tools that are for law firms only, or law firm centered type of technologies. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff that we will talk about in our shows, we focus on the law firms. That's who we market to right now. But the technology itself is used across the board in many, many different industries, not just law firms.
And that's a good segue, actually. So thanks for that. So what we're going to do here is talk about in the next few weeks, we'll be talking about security threat vectors. And that applies to any business, even in law firms or manufacturing or dental or hairdressers. It doesn't matter what business. The threat vectors are all the same. And we're going to talk specifically about cybersecurity awareness today because it kind of umbrellas all the various threat vectors that an end user has any impact on. So I'd like to kind of get your guys' opinion on some of the various threat vectors that law firms and other businesses should be concerned about right now.
I mean, in my opinion, anything that involves an end user is a scary thing. Okay. whether it be an end user sitting there checking their email, whether it be the end user sitting there browsing the internet, whether it be the end user sitting there plugging a USB device into their machine, whether it be them taking a phone call. Anytime you've got a human involved, you've got a potential to undermine every last piece of security that you've put in place. I always try to explain to people that, I could put $100,000 security system on my home, but if my kid still opens the door and lets someone in, none of that really matters.
Yeah.
So it's really, when I tell people that if you're going to go for low-hanging fruit, you've got to focus on any threat vector where you've got a person in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Vinny, what about you? Some threat vectors you're concerned about these days?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of it is people focused. What Wi-Fi's they connect to when they're out and about. There's a lot of free Wi-Fi's, but you don't know what the security is. How they're connecting back to the office. What's happening with your data. What they're doing when they're browsing on their work computer versus their home computer. Are they working from their home computer? There's a lot of different areas, but most of it is, we put protections in place for the network perimeters. We put filters in for our email. We put filters in for our web browsing. And we do, from a technology perspective, we can do a lot of different things. But again, one of the things we want to really focus on and we want to really emphasize is the end user.
Yeah. Yeah. The end user doesn't really, they can only take intelligent steps to prevent additional attacks, right? But there's going to be those attacks where they're going to try to get through a firewall. That's not necessarily an end user's fault, okay? Or maybe, if people are still using terminal servers, aka remote desktop servers, and they're wide open to the internet on port 3389, which is a well-known port, and even if you change the port, it doesn't matter. That's really not something an end user can be careful of, right? I mean, what are some of the things that you guys we're going to cover today? End users, what can they do by accident? Because we know we're not doing it maliciously; they're doing it by accident.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, first of all, in my experience, over the last decade, I'm not going to throw out some random percentage because I don't know the exact percentage, but I can tell you
Make one up.
In most cases, okay, in the overwhelming majority of cases, it was a user that initiated whatever security incident happened. I mean, yeah, we have situations where you might have some bad configurations. You might have a terminal server open to the internet, and that's bad. Shouldn't do that. But you couple that with a user that gives up a password on a phone call or somebody that has a weak password. Now you've absolutely made that breach easy for people to do. And most of the time, I have not seen breaches where somebody just literally just breaks in without a user somewhere along the way helping them out. So for me, what I've always said is, we've just got to train for awareness. I mean, because these users are not, like you said, they're not doing it maliciously. It's in error. And, the bad guys of the world go to extreme effort to try and figure out the psychology that gets people to act. Mm-hmm. It's not like people are falling for poorly constructed scams. I mean, a lot of these a lot of effort are put into them.
Yep. And really the effort is put into getting their foot in the door, right? And once they get their foot in the door, they're looking to establish strongholds, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're trying to get in by compromising a user, either through a phishing scam or, a user has his password written down and drops it somewhere or whatever it is, key cards. So they're trying to get that foot in the door. And then what they're doing is establishing, so they're taking advantage of vulnerabilities in your network. They're taking advantage of poorly configured systems and then really establishing themselves once they get the foot in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it all starts with that. I shouldn't say it always, but it oftentimes starts with that end user making a completely innocuous mistake, a completely innocent mistake.
Let me tell you a scenario. We all speak regularly on circuits, right? And one of the things I love to do is to go through a real world example. I'm sitting there and I'm working on my computer and I'm typing away, and all of a sudden I check my email and I'm just kind of firing through my email because I'm really busy. It might be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got a whole bunch of work to still get done before I can cut out at 5 o'clock. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a legal secretary, a paralegal, a managing partner, and I'm just flying through my email, looking at a click. And, I'm sitting there as an end user. And then all of a sudden, why is it we realize, oh no, I shouldn't have clicked at that the moment we clicked on it. Okay. And then we sit and see if something happens, and we don't tell anybody. We just, what's going on? Everything okay? You're looking at our computer like we're looking at under the hood, like we know what we're looking at under the hood when we've broken down, and they're like, well, nothing's happening. Looks okay. I'm not going to worry about it. Right. So what happened there, guys, when I did that? What could have happened? What's the reality of what could have happened?
It's that foot in the door that Vinny was talking about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I didn't tell anybody, right? I didn't tell anybody I made a mistake. So I just opened that door for whatever hacker, whatever bot, whatever mechanism to get into our network, and then they lay in wait.
Right.
And when do they strike?
Later.
When
you don't even know when.
Right? At midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning.
And sometimes it's months later, so that they try it. They get their foot in the door, they get established, and then they start digging in and they start investigating. Yeah,
and they're just kind of doing reconnaissance, right? Little things when nobody's watching, and nobody can tell. And IT is none the wiser unless they've got the right tools.
And so, the thing is that once somebody's in, all kinds of bad things can happen from that point. It becomes so much more difficult to stay on top, to counteract a malicious action. Okay, and so what we really need to do is make sure that we keep that foot outside the door in the first place. And so a huge part of what we spend our time talking about is user education. Mm-hmm. If we could just get that person, that one person, and not click that email, now all of a sudden we don't have the 100 other things that we have to be concerned about a malicious actor could actually be doing.
Yeah. So let's talk about it here. One thing we're going to unbox Know Before is what we're going to do, and talk about Know Before because it's one of the tools that we use and we like a whole lot. We're going to talk about other ones as the week goes on, things like Mimecast, things like Advanced Threat Protection by Microsoft, Cisco Umbrella. We're going to unbox these so that you, as a law firm professional, understand the various technologies that go into protecting and can protect the network. But Know Before is one of those things that affects the end user, and since the end user is the highest vulnerability factor of any network, of any environment, that's why we're covering it first. One thing is I will say though, guys, and maybe Dave, maybe Vinny, Know Before does a lot of different things, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the phishing testing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. There's you guys know the product just as well as I do, so add in anytime. What's the phishing? Also, Dave, you've dealt with that, right?
Yeah. So the phishing is basically voice-based phishing. Okay. And so, for example, through Know Before, you can set up campaigns that will, call your users on landlines or mobile lines or whatnot, and ask them, hey, we're calling from your bank and we can't, we need to reset a PIN. If you could go ahead and enter your PIN. Please do so now. We'll get things taken care of. Or, we would like you to enter your Social Security number to verify that it's you and we're from the Social Security Administration. And then what it does is it sits there and it doesn't track what people actually enter, but it looks for button presses. So if it requests a Social Security number and then it gets a 9-digit number after it, it says that person failed because they really appeared to have entered a Social Security number. Or if it asks for a PIN and they tapped 4 digits, that person would fail. And whereas if somebody just hangs up and ignores it, then they pass. So that's, people think that this is just like email or whatnot, but you can get these sort of fake requests that are trying to get sensitive data from you through all kinds of different communication means, including the voice, phone calls and stuff like that. So that's what it does.
Vinny, what do you know about the video security training?
So we used it at one of the companies that I worked at, where you can assign training to folks, security training for cybersecurity, email security, and things that people need to be aware of, things people should be looking for. You can assign programs as well, so you can have a set of videos that you can assign to folks, and then you keep track of who does the videos, who's compliant as far as the training. It does questions throughout the video and also a test at the end, so you can see how much they've retained. And you can schedule these, and you can have them moving around so that they can repeat classes and such. If you're doing a phishing campaign and they fail, you can automatically set it so they're required to do training. So there's a lot of
right.
good things.
That's what I was going to point out: the remediation training for our clickers.
Yep.
Yeah, we call those clickers.
Yeah, and so we can set up the folks so that so again, you're trying to educate folks. You're trying to make them aware before they do something, and you're trying to bring that awareness. And so the training part is a great piece of the Know Before as well.
Let me go over this because I showed this in a lot of my presentations to the ABA and ALA and such, right? And so I always say this is why you should listen, because we do baseline testing with Know Before. By the way, Know Before, as you might have seen in the screen before, high scores in a Gartner quadrant, right? Know Before was started by Kevin Mitnick, which is a well-known hacker now turned white hat, turned good guy. He was like in the 90s, the first person that was ever prosecuted. And I think actually he was put in solitary confinement because they didn't know what to do with him in the 90s. I read that. I don't know if that's factual, but the old idea of, he cracked the IRS, I think, the Department of Defense, and I might have the facts a little wrong, but that's the kind of caliber of person that he was. And Kevin Mitnick believes that everyone will at some point click on a phishing email. And so I actually like to show this slide in any presentation that I do. So when we do baseline testing, what we want to do is we want to test to see how many people would click on something. And so the first top left square, the purple one with the 13, of 25 people in this law firm, when we tested them, 13 people were clickers. They clicked on a fake email that we sent them. And then of that, so we don't just send one email to test. I mean, hackers aren't sending one email, so why would we test them with just one email? So we sent a total of 90 emails over a period of a few days to 25 people, and there were 17 emails that were actually clicked. So that means that 3 people, is that right, Dave? 3 people clicked on at least, probably 3 people clicked on 2 each, is what it came down to. There's other combinations of that, but it was an average click rate of 1.4, which was kind of surprising of the 13 people. So, with this proof, and these are people that are, educated. Individuals at law firms aren't undereducated. They're really smart people, but they can fall for it just like we could. Everybody falls for it.
I mean, let's be honest. I clicked on one. I remember because I clicked on it, and then I've like, that was really stupid.
Right.
I need to call this person. Did you actually mean to send that? Oh no, my email got hacked. Okay.
I've done it too. It was
like, and I live this stuff. I breathe this stuff. But these things can be really good.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
Right.
It's just they're hackers. They're good at this. And that's what they're trying to do, is be good at it. But what really bothers me about these 17 emails and these 13 clickers, 2 people actually responded out of this group to these. And so what that says is, hello, hacker, I'm a real person. I will respond to you. Keep sending stuff to me. I'm a target, is what it says. And the last lower right-hand corner is the worst one, if you ask me. actually there were 2 people that clicked in the link, went to a fake website, and actually put in their username and password to log into the fake website. So if 13 people, of 25 people, 13 people clicked, more than half, right? And then of that half of those people, a little bit less than 20% of their, 20% of them. Is that right? Yeah, 20% of them actually gave up credentials. And this was just a fake test. So imagine if this is going on in your environment right now. How would you know? And what are you doing? What's your organization doing to try to prevent it from happening? So that's where we're going to kind of dig into Know Before a little bit. And here's an example. I just actually got this today, and I thought that, sorry, I didn't clean up the slide too much because I just knew it's going to be screenshots, and I'm not doing a PowerPoint view. But this was one I just got today. You know, I looked at it and I'm like, what is this? And if you've got a large organization, you might not know everybody in your organization. And so somebody might click on this, and people do all the time. So that's an example. One of the tips I always give, by the way, just hover over the link and just see where it goes before you click on it. That's one of the tips. But talking about Know Before, so Dave, we kind of talked about this. Vinny, I think you've seen it too. If you're going to use Know Before, you can go in and you can manually set up everything yourself. Or what's really cool, and this is kind of the unboxing of Know Before, and we're going to show screenshots here. It has an automated security awareness program. So Dave, Vinny, you know, with all these things, I mean, there's a lot to set up, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can make these streamlined, you can make them complex, you can make them anything you want. For a lot of people, these tools, they'll go out and they'll buy them, and then they'll start getting into it and they'll realize they have to set up 55 different configurations and this, that, and the other thing. And then they just go, this is way too complicated. I don't have time for this. I'm just going to move on. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I've, seen over the last several years, a lot of these vendors have done a really good job of trying to find at least a default out of the box sort of experience. So that's this wizard-driven automated security awareness program where it goes through and it really guides you through the setup process. So you don't have to go in and do all the crazy stuff if you don't want to. Now, you always have the ability to go, like I always go in and I manually set up everything because I have a specific way that I want it, okay? And it differs from the default. But for somebody that just wants to get up and running as quickly as possible, it's nice to have this sort of automated process.
Vinny, would you recommend running through the wizard and then tweaking, or for if you're doing it on your own at a law firm, what would you recommend?
Well, I would recommend them coming to us and helping them out. But
that's a shameless plug. I love it. Good job.
But no, the wizards are very nice for somebody who just wants to do get started, and I think then you can tweak things along the way, and add things, enhance things. But definitely the wizards are a great way to get started and get things moving, because that's the goal, is get things moving first and take one bite at a time rather than trying to do the whole thing at once. Yep. And Jim, what I was going to say, we're running low on time. Do you want to get into a little bit more of the unboxing here?
Yeah. Thank you. So for phishing emails, that Know Before comes with a lot of templates. And what I like about the templates is they're specific to industries. Vinny, you did a lot with manufacturing. You did a lot with legal. Did you use the industry specific ones in manufacturing before?
Well, we when I did ours, we did a lot of targeting. So we actually used current events to try and do some campaigns. Like we did some COVID ones. We did some HR related stuff. Things that come from HR, things that come from maybe your healthcare provider, and things like that. So we were pretty targeted to what users were accustomed to when we did that.
Yeah, we had our own dog food, and this is a screenshot from our tenant, actually, guys. And notice it's a lot of Microsoft 365 stuff because we're tech people, right? So we're not going to fall for the ABA stuff. Most of our people are members of the ABA, right? But they might fall for an Office 365 shared document or something like that, or password reset. So, and those templates, they're coming out with new ones all the time. If you notice, they're also scored, right? I like that score, that difficulty. So if you've got, a group of people that wouldn't click on, a level 5 difficult email, maybe you've got a group of people that are just, not really tech savvy or not subject matter experts. You could lower the difficulty of that click, right? Of that email, so that they're more likely to fall for it or not fall for it. And we don't want them to fall for it, right, guys? Or do we?
You know what? I mean, so that's a good point. Do we want people to click or do we not? I think it depends on how you view training. I know that there are businesses out there that use phishing testing in a punitive manner. None of my clients that I know of do this, but I've heard stories of, larger organizations where, it's like if you click 3 times, you could get terminated. I generally like to look at something like this as more educational. And so if you've got different sets of people, if we want to make someone that we know is not tech savvy, more tech savvy,
they got to fail.
Yeah. Let's start low. Once they make a mistake, we can train them up and we can get better and better. The thing is that ignoring that person that's going to click or just hoping nobody ever does it doesn't give you any information about what kind of training you need to be giving people. Okay.
I look at it from the perspective of the hacker, in the sense of they're not going to try and make it easily detectable. They're going to do their best job to fool someone. So when I'm creating a campaign, I do my best job to fool someone, because it is a training opportunity, and it is a safe training opportunity. With no real impact, except that the user becomes aware for the next time. So rather than make it easy to detect, that's great. It makes them feel good, but the hackers are not making them easy. And so the Nigerian scammer is no longer the case. That was easily detected, even though some folks fell for that, right? That's no longer the case. They're not going to make spelling mistakes. They're not going to, sometimes they do. The bad hackers do, but those are easily found out. Those are easily caught by folks now, because people are aware of these types of things.
Yeah.
So from my perspective is I'd rather catch them than the hacker catch them, because I'm going to train them. I'm going to show them what mistakes they made or how they can avoid that in the future.
They always say in football or basketball or whatever sport, make the mistakes in practice, not in the game. Right? And so that applies here. So, so I think the important thing is you can also, lots of templates coming out with new templates all the time, and current events are really popular templates.
And they are timely. Under the system templates right now, I went and did a check earlier. They have 75 different templates under the COVID-19 section.
That's awesome.
Available to use.
Yeah. And so, and you can also make your own templates. You can modify them and make your own templates too. So moving on, here's the example of the one. By the way, this is the one that actually a couple of lawyers fell for, and logged into that ABA website and put in their login credentials onto the fake landing page that looked like the ABA website. So it goes a little bit further than just the email. They have, Know4 actually has really good emails and really good fake landing pages to make the end user really fail if they're going down that path, or try to fool that end user.
And if I'm not mistaken,
those pages too.
If I'm not mistaken, you can clone an actual page, and make it look like the actual page, and it just has a different URL.
Yeah, exactly. And that hopefully that URL, that fake URL, they catch it. But what I like is the actual reports built into. Now we'll go a little bit more into some of the other functionality, but the reports are pretty darn good. And then I want to stay respectful a little bit of time. We're going to go over, obviously, but I think it's well worth the topic. So I've whited out the email addresses associated with these, but you can see the percentage of this person right here that they're prone to click. They've gotten 23. They failed on 2 failures, didn't get to them for some reason. Maybe our Mimecast. By the way, I think these are good tests for email security too. Did it make it through? or Cisco Umbrella, which is one of the tools we use to keep people from going to websites. Did they get to that website? You know?
And we use it to sometimes test the process in the IT department to see how IT responds to something like this as well. Yeah.
Right. You bet. And then it shows you clicks. How did they reply? Did they open an attachment? Did they actually run a macro? Because some of them can have benign macros attached to them. And did they give up data and so on and so forth? So I like the reporting functionality, very customizable here. And then a little bit further. So this is what I really like. This is an overall report of the most recent campaign. So there's 9 recipients, 7 delivered, 1 was opened, 1 was clicked, so on and so forth. And you can actually email, you can look at the preview of the email by clicking the envelope and seeing what they fell for. And so what I like is like if that one particular email is pretty popular, let's send it again. Let's see if people click on it again. But let's move on to some of the other stuff outside of phishing, because I already know before it's just phishing. And I think it's more than just phishing. So Dave, you've dealt with the videos a little bit more, right?
I mean, yeah, there is so much in the videos. We could probably do an entire session just covering different training videos that are available. Okay.
You dealt with the videos too, right?
Yeah, I've done the videos.
Okay. Dave, guys, tell me about the videos.
Oh, so I mean, you have standalone videos, you have series of videos, you have the ability to let me pull something up on my end real quick here.
Sure, yeah. While you're doing that, I'll mention if you so as people click, they can be added to a list called clickers, right? And so some of the remediation training can be that, hey, you clicked on this was a fake email from us, and this is the process No Before has. And we want you to watch this 5-minute long video. And now you're assigned that video, right? And then you can have your supervisor, know that you're supposed to be watching the video, whether you watched it or not. And then if you click again, it can kind of escalate, right, Vin?
Yep, and that's what we did in the past for companies I work for. Is everyone had a supervisor. Every user was in the system. They had their supervisor noted, so the supervisor was responsible for making sure that they did the training video. Right, because this is a proactive measure that we're taking as an organization to protect, our assets, to protect our data, to protect our organization as a whole from threats. And so we want folks to, when they do have, when they do click or when they do enter credentials or whatever it is, we want them to know what the impact of that is. And so one way to do that is by making them watch the videos and to understand what they did, why they did it, and why is it a danger.
Yeah. Now, Dave, I think what you're probably bringing up is like a video campaign. If you don't have time,
I have the campaign training. I'm just going to shoot, instead of trying to jump back and forth, I'm just going to send it over to you real quick.
Oh, I don't have any of my other programs open, but
okay.
Why don't we just kind of explain that, the video campaign unrelated to
to a clicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can actually set up. So a very common one that we set up is a monthly risk awareness training program. Okay. And what this will do is it will queue up in a series, whatever you want to classify in, from a subject matter. Hang on. Sorry, everyone.
So I'm going to jump in real quick right here, Dave. So if you have a requirement for folks to take over the course of a year, for example, right? You can set that up as a series or as a campaign, and it'll track who's taking the videos, how long. I mean, it'll even track how much of the video they watched, right? Mm-hmm. It'll track their success rate in answering the questions, and it basically is your training effort for the year, maybe for the quarter, maybe for the month, whatever it is. I mean, but it's an effort to get those videos watched and to ensure that people are actually doing the training.
And it should also be pointed out, I'm just running into some technical difficulties on my end, so I apologize for all that. But one thing I want to add to what Vinny's saying here is, in addition to the out-of-the-box training material, they also have like a community area, like a marketplace, if you will, where there's other materials that other people have contributed for training purposes. So for right now, there's a number of training videos that are out there that are specific to work from home, and the security that goes along with that. So, it's more than just what's out of the box. This thing is continuously growing. This the selection that's available to you to set up for your users is huge.
Today, not for nothing, and we're kind of coming to the end, but didn't they get some big investors or go IPO recently, and just have a whole lot of money pumped into the whole thing? I read that somewhere. I forget what it was, but I mean, this is not a fly-by-night operation. KnowBe4 is probably the industry leader when it comes to managed security awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you go direct, you can go through a reseller like us. Usually, a reseller like us would probably get a discount for you, and then you can manage it yourself. So putting a campaign in place is not like just setting it and forgetting it.
Right.
You can change it. You may want to change it. You want to review the results, so you can do that yourself, or you can have a partner like us do it as well.
And we've got. I work with people that do it both ways. So I've got some organizations that have extensive in-house IT, and they want to set up their own training and their own phishing, and then they reach out whenever we run into a problem of some sort, or if they want to learn how to do something new that they aren't familiar with. Instead of going and self-educating, they'll just reach out and I'll train them. But I would say for the most part, most of our customers count on us to set up all the campaigns, make sure they're running, and report back to them on the results of the campaigns.
Yep. And so I'm going to put it out there, and I hate to say this. I hope I don't make anybody upset, but sometimes this is a reality, and I think we need to call it out. One of the things that concerns me is a lot of lawyers and the partners in law firms think they don't have time for this stuff, right? And unfortunately, a lot of these types of incidents happen because people don't do it. They don't self-educate, and they don't take the time to prepare themselves for phishing emails. So I see a number of law firms implement it for everybody else, but not necessarily the attorneys, because they're so busy billing, or there's or managing partners because I own the business. I'm not worried about it, right? And I think that that's a bad mentality. And we of course we have to tread lightly on that, for obvious reasons. But I think it's a point that we got to bring out, guys.
The reality is, though, we take the management piece away from them as far as managing the campaign, managing the reports. All they want to know is, are there people being educated? Who's not doing what they need to be doing, right? And who the potential weak points are, right? But from an attorney's perspective, if they're saying they don't have time, this is a 5-minute to a 15-minute investment potentially per week for a very short period of time, and then you're done. You can do it over a span of a month, a span of a quarter, however it is, but it's a very, very short investment. So that you can have things, an awareness in your mind. And really, it's more of a reminder, because some of these things we already know, right? Yeah. And we may need a refresher, or we may need to be reminded again. Mm-hmm. And so that we can get it, so that it's always in the front of our mind and not in the back of our mind. So it's a small investment, but a very well worth it investment.
Yeah. I would think, Dave, that when we're doing security awareness training in an organization, it should be an all or nothing endeavor. It's top all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom of the chain of command,
without question.
Yeah. So, for those thinking out there that I don't have time for this. Well, first off, everybody's got time to either click on or avoid a phishing email, right? That goes without saying. Okay, that's just kind of your normal workflow. But the security awareness training it's the fundamentals. My kid is still in football, and I still today, and as a junior, I still instill, that's hard to say, the values of fundamental tackling, right? Break down, shuffle your feet, right? Hit, wrap, drive, that kind of stuff. Because you never can avoid the fundamentals. If you don't have the fundamentals, you don't have, in my opinion, a good base. So I think it's got to be top down. Also, something like this really is an investment top down because the decision and implementation of it, yeah, we're going to have a training program. Yes, we're going to watch the videos. Yes, if you're a clicker, you're going to have to watch this video, and so on and so on and so on, right?
And the reality is as well that if a hacker is going to target somebody, he's going to be looking at an attorney. He's going to be looking at someone who has the data that they're looking for. Most
the bigger
likely,
the
right?
fish, the more you're going to get.
Yep.
What's that?
The bigger the fish, the more you're going to get hit.
Yeah, they're looking for big fish, not little fish.
Nice play on words you got right there.
Yeah.
So, well, you know what? I think that's all we need to talk about with Know Before. And so if you're interested in Know Before, you obviously can reach out to us and we can help you with it. But more importantly than anything else today, if this video helped you, we of course love you to like this video or share it or comment on it. But if you walk away from here and you just forget everything, don't forget the one most important thing. Guys, can you tell me what it is? Go join.
Go to the go LinkedIn, search for No Law Firm Left Behind, and join the group.
Yeah. Big deal right there. I mean, there's no selling going on No Law Firm Left Behind. It's our LinkedIn group that we put out there to help educate. And it's a clearinghouse for just a lot of information that we just kind of put out there and help people just make it through COVID right now, help people in the law firms. Like we said, we're out here to try to help your law firm be competitive, keep your staff and attorneys productive, and to get your clients calling again. So, guys, thanks a lot. I think we did a great job here, and I want to thank you for the time.
All right, everyone, have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks all.